I want to take the camera right over to our right here. You can see there is a large contingent of police officers who have arrived right now. As you were tossing to me for the top of this story, they have police on the back of their shirts. They seem to be Philadelphia police officers. They have all arrived on bikes right now. If we can get a little, are we able, Matt, to get a little bit closer? We're going to take the camera off the tripod. We are right now in College Green along Locust Walk in the heart of the University of Pennsylvania. And for the last 2 weeks, we've been reporting about this pro-Palestinian protest that began 2 weeks ago and has grown to an encampment with tents, with shelters, with signs. So right now, what we're seeing, and this is happening just live as we're standing here, this large group of Philadelphia police officers arriving right now to College Green on Locust Walk, just feet away from where this encampment has grown. They're getting orders, it seems, right now from a commander, from a sergeant who's here, directing these police officers to go to certain locations right along College Green. I can tell you, as you're looking at these police officers on bicycles getting their orders right now, there is more movement from the encampment. Everyone has been, in terms of the protesters this morning, very quiet. We haven't seen any activity. I've been here many mornings in the overnight hours, and we've had very little activity in these early morning hours. So protesters have been sleeping. Normally they get up around 6:37. They chat, and they don't really gather in mobility and in force and vocalize until more mid-morning, afternoon hours. But this large presence of dozens of Philadelphia officers is no doubt going to get them out of their tents. I'm looking back right now, and I can see some of them emerging from their tents. So we have yet to, have any reaction from them right now. I'm just listening in, Keith and Aaron, as we see this Philadelphia police sergeant or lieutenant in the white shirt directing this group of officers on bikes to certain areas of this green. We're going to get a little bit closer right now. I'm just giving you some of the ambient sound of what's going on. A lot of these officers are looking at us kind of as surprised as we are to see them. I can tell you this morning, in the hours leading up to this, I did notice, and I was going to say that at the top of the story as you were tossing to me, that we noticed more Philadelphia plainclothes officers, so civilian officers, people who, officers who are dressed just in normal streetwear, but who have armbands on, signifying that they are police. And we were seeing more Penn security officers and Penn police, but they did not converge on the encampment like they are doing right now. I just noticed more of that presence in the University City area. Right now, we're going to follow some of these police officers on bikes who are clearly very mobile. They're on bikes for a reason. They need to traverse this Campus Green area quickly. As we're following them, I want to actually walk over to some of the protesters. Matt, can you come with me right now? Hi, can we please, I'm Katy, Zachry with NBC 10. This is obviously a surprise to you. We'd like to know how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, no comment from the encampment.
No, when are you chatting?
You can see what's going on, right?
I can see what's going on. So what is your reaction?
A minute to excuse us for 1 minute. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are not ready to talk. I'm going to stay here and hopefully get reaction from them. Clearly, this is a surprise to them. They were not expecting this. And, our story this morning was basically that the university had placed 6 students on temporary leave of absence from the university. So that's what happened in the last 24 hours. 6 Penn students were suspended as part of this pro-Palestinian protest. They were put on mandatory temporary leave of absence in accordance with university policies. One of the students we spoke with, I'm going to move over so you can hear me better. One of the students we spoke with who was put on this mandatory temporary leave of absence, she says for the last 2 weeks she's been part of this group that organized the protest, and she was in several dialogues, several conversations with the interim president of the University of Pennsylvania as well as the provost. They would have discourse. I was told that faculty members who were advising these protesters on their rights to protest and their rights to free speech. Okay, we're seeing some.
Katy, a moment ago we saw a lot of officers. It looked like a large group of them kind of went off in another direction.
Right now, please. Can you share with me what you're doing? And is this in direct reaction to the police who have converged on this area? Do you have any comment?
There are two kinds of people in this room.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Aaron, go ahead. I just wanted
a minute
to clip
ago,
that mic before
no,
something
no.
It's very smart.
We saw a group of officers on bikes going in another direction, but there's another large contingent that looks like it's still there. Can you tell us what the officers are doing? Are they just kind of holding right now?
Yeah, I know. Thank you. You're my eyes behind me because there's a lot going on in this 360 direction. So behind or directly, you don't have to spin around, Matt, because you can't see them very well. Directly behind us, there is a group. Okay, so there's a group of officers. You should spin around now. You can see they've completely enclosed this where we are, College Green, which is on Locust Walk. So it's basically in a green area. If you think of Rittenhouse Square, it's just a much smaller version of Rittenhouse Square in the heart of Penn. It's where people converge. It's where, you know, a lot of people, if there have been protests before, they would have them here. You know, there's the iconic, there are two iconic statues. People take graduation pictures here. This is a College Green area. So right now the police are on bikes going to all access points, closing off any entry of people, of pedestrians, of you know, people on bikes, dog walkers, any vehicles. So right now, no one is coming into this area. We are in this area. We'll stay in this area. There's still a group of police officers on bikes, maybe 50 yards from the encampment barricade. Yep. They're holding fast there. And then around us, all of those officers have circled this green and are blocking it off. So we're going to stay here. There's been a lot going on. Literally, Keith, as you were talking to me, I could see behind me just this, you know, all these dozens of officers on bikes coming up on my left.
Yeah.
In the context of all this, too, is, you know, we've recently reported that there was a petition that went around signed by 2,000 staff members, students there saying that the encampment should be disbanded. And this comes on the heels yesterday of Governor Josh Shapiro saying this should be disbanded. So now they've got support from the state, which is a big deal. Hence why Philadelphia police show up early in the morning, about 5:30. Katy, Zachry, they're reporting for us at UPenn.
Yep, she's going to stay there. We're going to check back in with her. Get back to breaking news we're following on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania. We've seen officers moving in for that large encampment that's there. Been there for 2 weeks.
Surprising those protesters, too. Katy, Zachry's been there for a couple weeks. She's interviewing a student right now, we understand. So let's listen in on that.
Process. The administration's rhetoric towards our campus has enabled continual violence to occur towards encampment members, has enabled continual harassment, a chemical attack to happen. So we reject the narrative that we have made anyone feel unsafe, whereas the truth is it's a very welcoming space, a multi-ethnic space, multi-religious space, and we're here primarily to hold the university accountable for genocide and being complicit in funding genocide. And that's why we're here.
The university has said, though, has stated from the interim president that this is a health and safety violation of the campus policies. It's pulled police resources from other parts of the campus where they're needed. These tents and shelters obstruct police officers' line of sight. There are Jewish students here who feel threatened for their safety. What do you say to that?
Again, we reject this narrative pushed by the administration as a clear means to distract the goals of this encampment and distract the public from the goals of this encampment and paint us in a more negative light. We're here for one reason only. We're here to get the university to divest from Gaza and divest from the genocide that they're committing in occupied Palestine. That's why we're here. We're here to uplift that narrative. We're here to uplift the narrative that 34,000 Palestinians have been indiscriminately murdered by the Israeli government, and the University of Pennsylvania has had a direct role to play in this. So, no, to the idea that we've created some sort of like unsafe, encampment that puts people at risk, we reject that. The encampment's pretty safe.
But you do have outsiders, though. Penn has policies in place for their students' open expression and for their students' free speech. You are not a Penn student, and this has attracted many people outside the Penn community, and that is a major concern, I'm being told, from Penn leaders.
The University of Pennsylvania does not pay property tax in Philadelphia. The University of Pennsylvania continually strips the city of much-needed funding for its crumbling public infrastructure. So this is not merely a Penn issue, because as long as Penn expands into West Philly and continues its process of gentrification, and as long as Penn steals money from West Philly and then uses that money to fund genocide and to fund the military-industrial complex to commit more war crimes, this cannot be seen as just a Penn issue. So that's why it's a Philadelphia-wide issue that concerns all Philadelphians.
Then why not leave? Then why not leave campus, sir? Then why not leave campus if this is not just a Penn issue, and if the leaders have said it's a health and safety issue? Okay. Yes. Hi, guys. So those are the first comments that we've heard from anyone from the encampment. He is either a Temple or a Drexel student. I'm going to have to check the tape on that. He was talking to us for a while. But he is not a Penn student. And that's what Penn leaders have maintained from the very beginning. I've talked to faculty members who have been advising this group of Penn students that started the protest 2 weeks ago. Then it grew into a larger encampment that you see behind me. These faculty members have told me that Penn has open expression and free speech guidelines in place, but that umbrella is just for Penn students. So a big problem has been a number of other protesters, dozens of other protesters have joined this encampment. They have covered their faces, they've been wearing masks, they have not produced ID. So Penn officers, Penn police, Penn security, trying to keep measures on what's going on here. They have not been able to ascertain what individuals are Penn students and what individuals are from the outside. So right now there is a megaphone. Okay. You have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes. This megaphone, the recording was just played saying this is the University of Pennsylvania Police Department. You have 2 minutes to leave the area, disperse the area, or you will be arrested.
You will be considered a defiant trespasser.
You will be considered a trespasser if you do not disperse in 2 minutes.
Trespassing on private property. If you leave now, you will not be arrested. You have 2 minutes to pack up your belongings and disperse the area, or you will be arrested. This is the University of Pennsylvania Police Department. This serves as your warning to disperse the area. If you do not disperse, you will be considered a defiant trespasser. If you do not leave within
Okay. Aaron and Keith, you heard that message being relayed. Now there is a large growing response inside the encampment. People are awake. Protesters are coming out of their tents. They're chanting things. I can't make out exactly what they're saying, but they are reacting to this. And one of the things that student, that Drexel or Temple student who started this encampment told me is they will escalate. And I pushed him on what that means. How will you escalate? He didn't go into detail. He just said, we are not leaving. As we heard that announcement from Penn Police, backed by the Philadelphia Police Department, saying you will be considered a trespasser if you do not leave and disperse in the next few minutes, 2 minutes specifically. You will be arrested for trespassing on private property.
Hey, Katy, one thing we can see from Skyforce 10 that I'm not sure is clear from where you are right now is there is a large presence of police officers, some in tactical gear, waiting to walk into that area, I presume, in about a minute's time now. We'll go back to you because it looks like there's a lot of activity.
You can see some of the encampment members seem to be leaving. They have packed up their belongings. We have about 3 or 4 that just went by us. I've seen probably 5 in total. There are probably half a dozen encampment members who are right now leaving with their belongings.
Do you have a good sense of how many are still left in there? Not just belonging, but actual protesters?
I would say, in terms of the protesters, Aaron, inside the encampment, I'm 24, 36, 2 to 3 dozen that I can make out right now.
Okay. Boy, a lot of activity
right now
happening
they're gathering, they're gathering below the statue of Benjamin Franklin, and they are locking arms. And I was told by one of the protesters just a few minutes ago that they will not leave. They are standing their ground and that they will escalate. Again, I asked him what that meant. He wouldn't go into detail, but they've been told. So police right now are walking through the encampment. It feels like they are getting ready for, they gave them the warning in 2 minutes. If you do not leave and disperse, you will be arrested for trespassing. I'm behind the barrier right now. I'm just trying to get a better look, but that officer with the bullhorn is moving deeper into the encampment. You know, in case anyone was sleeping through this, I mean, you got to think they were not, that everyone has been alerted inside the encampment to what's happening. I don't see any tents that are being taken down. Just, a minute ago, I did see some protesters who had like sleeping bags and a skateboard and smaller belongings they put into a rolling bin, and they were getting out of College Green.
Katy, first and foremost,
in terms of it, yes.
Yeah, please be safe out there. We're looking on the other side of our screen from Skyforce 10, a live image of at least 100 police officers. Some in blue uniforms, some in white, most in tactical gear, waiting orders, we presume, to go in there and disband this camp. We see some fire engines as well. This is a big coordinated effort by the city of Philadelphia, by UPenn, following the governor's message yesterday to disband to the university. The university also receiving that petition of 2,000 signatures from students.
And at this point, those officers, Katy, they look like they're in a holding pattern, just awaiting the word. And when you say tactical gear, we've got helmets on. Some of them have batons.
They're on the move
and now it looks like they are on the move. So they are mounting the steps and getting closer and moving toward your location, we presume, at this moment. What would you say? 50 to 100 officers right here. Most of them have batons and shields on.
Yeah, Katy, to answer your question, there was a single line of police officers on bikes where they're walking in. You should be able to see them in a couple minutes. But they're coming up on a brick walkway right now.
All right, they're going through that barricade of bike officers.
Oh, we see them. Matt, look to your left right now. Look to your left right now. We're going to show you the ground vantage point of Philadelphia police with tactical gear. You're right, with batons, with that tactical gear on. You're looking at them from above, or do you have my ground shot right now?
We've got both shots up, Katy, so we can see them from above, and we can see them coming toward you right now. We'd say there's at least 100 officers. So this is a long line of officers that are marching toward you and toward the encampment.
Okay, they are, I'm going to get out of the way right now a little bit. You can see they're on this side, they are separated from the encampment just by one of these metal barricade fences. They have not made contact yet inside the encampment. They're talking with one of the sergeants, one of the lieutenants out here, who has been directing these dozens of officers, first the bicycle officers and now the officers in tactical gear. All while this is happening, there, I would say, 20 to 30 protesters who have locked arms, who are sitting right below the statue of Benjamin Franklin, right here in the center of College Green, right here in the center of the encampment. I know there's a lot of ambient sound out here, guys, so if you need me to move away from some of my colleagues who are
speaking of which, Katy, if you don't
right
mind,
next to me, then tell me.
If you don't mind checking with Matt, it sounds like your mic might be off, just to be able to hear all this commotion here, and we'll cover for you.
Can you hear me now?
Talking about the scene. Try it again there, Katy.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. How's that? Is that better?
That's way better.
That's a little bit better. Now we can
Is
hear
that
a little
better?
more what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah, there
I
we go.
moved back a little bit. We all, as you can imagine, we are all, shoulder to shoulder as this is going on. So right now, from a distance, I know Matt is showing you the group of 20 to 30 protesters who are holding hands. They're singing in solidarity, all while the police, who are in tactical and riot gear, there's a group of them that is starting to go into the encampment right now. They're moving the metal barricades back. They're slowly moving into the encampment. We have yet to see any direct interaction, face-to-face interaction with these officers in tactical gear and the protesters who are out here. Again, the protesters seem to be out of their tents right now, and they are joined in one group just below the statue of Benjamin Franklin. The officers are walking through the encampment. I'm just trying to get an idea if they're picking up tents, if they are picking up items, possessions, and removing them. Let me take a look over here. No, they're moving in as a group. In terms the police officers, they're moving slowly into the encampment. Matt's giving you a better shot there, just beyond the flags, and they've stopped. Do you see them? This group of about, I would say, 30 officers in tactical gear. They're taking those batons, those wands that they have, and they're tearing down. They're removing the tents. And that's one thing all along we've heard from university officials, that the large space that this encampment has occupied, that it prevented police officers who are here on Penn's campus for the safety and well-being of the faculty and the students for everyday living. Their line of sight was obstructed. They couldn't tell, who was on campus, what people were doing on campus. So they really needed these obstacles to be taken down to ensure the safety and welfare of everyone who is here on Penn's campus. Yes. All right, we're just being directed by, I can go on the other side, sir. Stay on this side. Okay. All right, they're moving. Police are moving these metal barricade fences back as they give themselves more space inside the encampment.
It looks, Katy, like at this moment that officers haven't engaged with the actual protesters. For right now, they're just removing belongings, getting the tents, getting all the stuff that's in there out of the way before they actually engage with those protesters that are there congregated at that statue.
You're removing the obstacles, perhaps, to be able to
Correct.
do the job
No
that they're
one,
about to do here.
Correct. I haven't seen anyone arrested yet. Now, what we're seeing is that group out in front going through, taking down the tents. And then as they do that, there's kind of a semicircle of officers in riot gear with large shields forming like a semicircle around the encampment. This is clearly a very coordinated effort. It feels that way from the moment the bicycle officers, the dozens of them, converged on College Green, to minutes later, the bullhorn and the megaphone telling the protesters they had 2 minutes to leave or else they would be arrested for trespassing, to minutes after that, that large group of officers in riot gear walking through University City onto College Green and slowly taking over the encampment. So right now the protesters, they really have not gotten up from the base of the Ben Franklin statue here at College Green. They're still holding, linked arm in arm. They're chanting. I haven't seen any one of the protesters go up to police and resist what's happening.
And it's worth noting, too, Katy, you've been saying this, but this encampment has been on Penn's campus for 2 weeks now.
That's right.
The university's interim president, has been saying this needs to move. This has to go. You have to go. And the protesters have said, no, we're not moving. And so this is the culmination of what has happened after 2 weeks, basically, of them being in the center of Penn's campus.
And if you're just joining us here on NBC 10 News today, this began about 5:30. We started seeing activity. Katy Zachry's been out there for about 2 weeks, and this morning reporting first that the university issuing mandatory temporary leaves of absence for 6 students in accordance with their policies. Katy pointed out there's a number of people part of this protest that don't attend the University of Pennsylvania. And about 5:30, just as we had tossed for her live shot, she started seeing a lot of activity start to form. And this, for the last 36 minutes, has happened very quickly, with about at least 100 Philadelphia police officers and law enforcement, collecting outside just off of College Green. And now what you're watching, if you're just joining us, them coming onto College Green and beginning to disband this protest.
You can see on their gear, they've got shields on their face. They've got shields that they're holding. Some of them have batons, and you can also see the zip ties, that automated recording that they played for people in the encampment said you have 2 minutes to disperse. That was about, 15, 20 minutes ago.
Yep.
You've got 2 minutes to disperse, and now it looks like they are going in. At first, they were just getting rid of the tents. Now it looks like they are engaging with the protesters, Katy.
Yes, they are now engaging. We're seeing that physical contact. The officers are now going to the base of the statue and trying to remove these protesters who are linked arm in arm and who are chanting. Their chants are getting louder now that the police are physically upon them. They were told minutes ago, you will be arrested for trespassing if you do not leave. Disperse this area. You don't have to leave with your belongings. We did see some protesters race out of this area, running with their belongings, putting them in rolling bins, but the large majority of protesters have remained. One of them told me they will hold their ground, they will escalate. All right, we're told Philadelphia's police commissioner is here on the scene. I do not see him. I am told that. I was told that in my ear by our producer. There's just so much going on. So if I do see him, I will try and talk with him. But right now, we really can't take our cameras off of.
It sounds like right now, too, just from the looks of it, they're forcibly removing each protester one by one off the sides of that Ben Franklin statue. They're linked arm in arm, so I imagine that's part of the reason it's difficult for law enforcement to get each one off. But there is a large group here in tactical gear, helmets, shields, and one by one they seem to be placing each of these protesters in handcuffs as they chant that they're united, using those twist ties, it actually looks like.
Yes, and we did see police taking one protester who was in those zip tie handcuffs, taking him to several police vans that are waiting. There are 3 that I can see right now that are have enough room for these 2 to 3 dozen protesters. At most, I would say 3 dozen protesters are right now still out here refusing to leave this area. They were told this morning, just about 5 to 10 minutes ago, that they are trespassing and they will be arrested. As you said, for the last 2 weeks, they have been told by University of Pennsylvania leaders they need to disperse, they need to disband the encampment, the pro-Palestinian encampment, and they have refused to do so. It has grown in size. It has grown in concern for the health and safety and welfare of the students and faculty here at the University of Pennsylvania, and even just those people passing through. There have been allegations of vandalism, of threats to students, and the University of Pennsylvania, those leaders have been saying for 2 weeks now this needs to disband, and the protesters have refused to do so, and this is the result.
Katy, you've done a great interview with a student that was involved in this protest. I'm not sure if the gentleman is still there, but he had mentioned something about having plans to escalate in the event this were to take place. Do you see any of the protesters doing anything beside linking arm in arm under that statue?
Fortunately, no, Keith, because when he did say that before there was actually the physical confrontation between police and the protesters, that's obviously very concerning to hear that they plan to escalate. But I've so far seen 3 protesters, now 4, and if you go to your right, Matt, you'll see another one right now. They are not doing anything. They are not saying anything. just kind of a stone cold look they have on their face right now. We've seen, so a handful of protesters right now have so far been arrested without incident. There are, I would say, 20 plus protesters that still remain at the base of the Ben Franklin statue here in College Green on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania. And we're seeing right now a vehicle with, it looks like a tactical vehicle. It might be a command post, actually. One of those vehicles that comes in with the police department where they kind of have their mobile operations, if you will. That's exactly what it looks like. It's a mobile operations unit that's just moved up on the grass here, about 150 feet away from the encampment, because you have police leadership here as well. So you have Penn Police, University of Pennsylvania Police, security guards, but obviously City of Philadelphia has taken over this situation right now, and they are face to face with these protesters who, we just saw one or two police officers having to be forceful to remove one protester and get him or her up from the statue.
We're also looking at this live, Katy,
Go ahead.
from Skyforce 10 as well. So we have an overhead view, and then we can also see your shot from the ground. It's worth mentioning again that this was truly a coordinated effort, first seeing a group of bike officers come in and effectively surround the encampment, then a whole nother team of officers in tactical gear mobilizing and then moving in, kind of dispersing with a lot of the belongings, and now they're engaging one-on-one with these remaining protesters that are arm in arm on that statue there, refusing to move.
That's right, and that was 42 minutes ago. That's how quickly these officers have moved on in. And you're seeing some of the negotiation taking place between some of the protesters. Yeah, Katy, I'm sorry, go for it.
So come over here to the left. This is one situation where a protester is not walking, where they're physically having to carry this woman to one of the police vans waiting, where the others who have previously been arrested are now being held right now. I did see there are two journalists here. I'm trying to identify from what publication, but they were right up against, right where the protesters and the police were interacting. And one police lieutenant said to this journalist, "You need to move from this area for your safety." And there was some reluctance there, but they acquiesced, and now they have moved behind the barricade where we are right now. There's a metal barricade that's separating the media and any bystanders from what's going on inside this encampment. So to the left of the encampment, you see all of the police officers right here in tactical gear. Behind them, all of those tents had been taken down. So for the first time in 2 weeks, we can see the grass, we can see kind of at eye level straight across College Green, which we could not for some time, and that's one of the things that was a big concern, was the line of sight, and police who patrol University of Pennsylvania could not see areas they needed to see. Now to the right of us, you can still see the encampment is intact. They have not gone over and taken down those tents yet. They're just, as we said, systematically working their way very slowly across the encampment. And right now their focus is removing the protesters who were given warning when police first got here to College Green, that saying you need to leave, you need to disperse, or you will be arrested for trespassing. And that is what's happening right now. Aaron and Keith.
Katy, must be difficult to see because there's so much law enforcement there. Governor Josh Shapiro had called on the university to disband this to restore, as he said, law and order and safety on campus. Do you see any members from the university on hand?
I saw them earlier. I saw I saw Penn security. And this morning I said to myself, well, that's interesting. There's Penn security here. And we had not, they had been around. There had been a presence for the last 2 weeks with them. But I saw them, okay, this is a better shot right in front of our camera of how exactly they're doing it. They're going up to each protester and they're grabbing their arms and they're forcing them up off that statue, and they're putting those zip ties on their wrists as handcuffs. And I would say in the beginning, the protesters were being walked. They were allowing the police officers to walk them to the vans. And now, so like this one, she is walking, she's still chanting, but there have been some other protesters who refused to walk, so officers have had to carry them to the vans. But to get back to your initial question,
yeah.
Keith, it really is predominantly the city of Philadelphia, their police force right now. They have been working in tandem, in concert with Penn police since the beginning, and the interim president made that clear that he had the support, and the university has the support of the city of Philadelphia. But right now, this is definitely the city of Philadelphia. This is them moving in, making the arrests of these protesters who they say are trespassing and have been told to disband, to leave. They've been told that for up to 2 weeks now.
We should also mention that we have seen similar scenes like this playing out on other college campuses across the country, obviously the encampments starting at Columbia University, then spreading. We have seen UCLA, literally all over the country. Would you say largely, yes, they're linked arm in arm, but largely peaceful to a degree, not a ton of
yes.
resistance. Once police are with them.
Exactly. Their chants are growing louder. They're linking arm in arm. That's been since the beginning, since police moved in. This is an example of a protester who refuses to walk and is being carried out, forcing themselves to have officers carry them. But in terms of that escalation comment that one of the protesters made to me about 15 or 20 minutes ago, that we will escalate, we haven't seen escalation in terms of violence erupt. But there is so much strong police presence around here. There are so many eyes on this dwindling group of protesters out here now. It seems to me that they're feeling very outnumbered.
Yeah, we're going to stick with this for another couple minutes here before you get your weather and traffic. If you're just joining us, this is UPenn's campus. About 5:30, police officers started to descend around College Green, and now you're seeing in that short a time them starting to round up these protesters. Katy, about how many protesters are left? From our vantage point from Skyforce 10 and your camera, it appears to be about a dozen. Is that accurate?
I would say a dozen, Keith. I can't see behind the statue. They're all sitting around the base of the statue, so I can't get a good idea for the other side of how many are there. 2, 4, 6, 8. I would say 12, maybe 15, maybe a dozen to a dozen and a half protesters still remain. Mm-hmm. But they are surrounded right now. Go ahead.
We saw a few protesters earlier before police fully moved in, race out of there with their belongings. Mm-hmm. These are the last holdouts, and Philadelphia police have really gone in pretty systematically, one by one, removing them until we have just about a dozen left, as you mentioned, by looking at this picture here.
Yes, and if we can, I don't want to take our camera away from what's happening right in front of us, but as I look around behind me, there are layers and layers of police behind me. And there are those officers on bicycles who were that first front, that first wave of this tactical approach. So those officers and bikes are still stationed all around College Green. And I'm looking over at one of the access points leaving this plaza area onto one of the streets in University City, and they are blocking anyone from coming in. I can see construction workers. This is very busy in terms of construction. There are a lot of workers who come at this time, and I can see them all in their yellow vests, watching from right behind that line of bicycle officers, watching. They don't have a very good, they're being kept back. Everyone is being kept back quite a distance. Really, your best vantage point is where we are. We're just, we're 20 feet away from it.
You've been providing a great view here, Katy. Excellent reporting.